you doing? Are you recording? Yes, I am. Are you gonna put it online? Yeah, why not? It'll be fun for everyone to see how scared we were. We're pretty much trapped here. There's no way out, so might as well make the best of it. Ha. There was an old abandoned asylum at the edge of town. No one knew exactly when it was abandoned or why. Some said it was haunted, while others said the town just got too expensive and they had to move the patients somewhere else. The truth was that the asylum was abandoned due to a series of unfortunate events. First, several staff members went missing, then some of the patients died under mysterious circumstances. And finally, the doctor responsible for treating the patients, Dr. Valentine, disappeared after murdering 2 of his colleagues. One night, some teenagers decided to explore the building and see if there was any truth to the rumors. They split up into smaller groups and began searching the building for anything interesting. While exploring, they noticed that some of the rooms were filled with old files containing patient information, medical history, and their final diagnosis. One of them was called the depths of the Crypt. He seemed to have suffered from multiple personality disorder, and he was always talking about demons and monsters that lived in the basement. The doctor noted that these episodes occurred every full moon, and it seemed to get worse over time. On his last entry, it said that the monster would soon come out and he would help it escape. Then his name was crossed out and another one was written underneath. Then another and another, all detailing the new doctor's attempts to control the situation. One of the teens found a hidden passageway behind one of the filing cabinets, and they followed it deeper into the asylum. They kept walking until they reached a large steel door. "Guys, I think this is it," whispered one of the teens. "Let's go," another responded. And as they walked through the door, they were greeted by complete darkness. "I'm sorry, but I can't see a thing," said one of them. "Me neither. Let's go back." Suddenly, they heard chains dragging metal moans. All of them screamed and ran in the opposite direction. They didn't want to find out what was lurking in the darkness. Then they bumped into each other and fell to the ground. "Are you okay?" one of them asked. "Yeah, I'm fine." "Are you sure?" "Positive," he lied. They looked around and realized that they were lost. It didn't help that the place looked like an abandoned asylum. There were dirty beds, rusty wheelchairs, and old medical equipment lying around. And the smell, oh God, the smell. It was a mix of stale urine, decaying flesh, and old books. They tried to stay calm and retrace their steps, but it was no use. They were completely lost. One of them began to panic. "We need to get out of here before it's too late," he cried. The others nodded, but they couldn't agree more. As they turned to leave, they saw a figure standing in the shadows. "Who's there?" they shouted. The figure didn't respond. He remained motionless, just staring at them. They tried to ignore him and walk past, but he stepped in front of them. "Get out of our way," one of them demanded. "No," the man replied. His voice was raspy and sounded like nails on a chalkboard. "You can't leave." They were terrified. Who was this guy? How did he get inside? And And why was he trying to keep them there? The man suddenly lunged at them. They screamed and scattered in different directions. He chased after them, but they were too quick for him. They managed to escape and hide in one of the rooms. Panting heavily, they tried to catch their breath. One of them suggested that they should probably call the police, but they had no signal. They were in the middle of nowhere. The only option was to stay and wait until morning. As the night wore on, they heard more chains dragging and metal moans. Sometimes they would hear a voice whispering their names, trying to lure them out of their hiding spot. But they didn't budge. They were too scared to move. In the morning, after, of course, the sun came up, they finally felt safe enough to leave the room and check for a way out. They searched everywhere, but it was no use. They were trapped. Hours later, they were getting desperate. They needed to get out of there. They checked everywhere, but there was no way out. Then they remembered the doctor's office. Maybe there was a secret passageway or something. They rushed over and began searching. One of them opened the filing cabinet and gasped, "Guys, you won't believe this. I found a secret passageway." The others crowded around him, their eyes wide with anticipation. "Where does it lead?" "I don't know. This way," he said, pointing down the dark hallway. They exchanged nervous glances. Was this the way out? What if it led to another part of the asylum? They had no idea what was down there, but they had to try. They walked down the hallway until they reached a ladder. It was steep and rickety, but they managed to climb to the top. They could hear the voice again, louder than before. It was right outside the door. It was taunting them, telling them to run, to hide, to scream. They ignored it and continued on. At the end of the ladder, they found themselves in a small room with a single wooden door. It was locked. "Guys, I think we're trapped," one of them said, his voice shaking. They tried the handle. It didn't budge. The voice seemed to be mocking them now, laughing and jeering. They started banging on the door, but it was no use. Then one of them noticed a small crack in the corner. "Guys, look," he shouted. They all crowded around to get a better look. "I think I can fit through there," one of them said. Before anyone could respond, he began squeezing through the crack. The others helped him, pulling him with all their might. Slowly but surely, he managed to crawl through the opening. On the other side, he turned around and smiled. "It's a miracle," he whispered. "There's an opening on the other side." They all cheered and began digging at the mortar between the bricks until they created an opening big enough for all of them to fit through. As they crawled through the hole, they could hear the voice getting louder. "Don't come out," it hissed. "You can't leave." They ignored it and kept moving. When they finally emerged on the other side, they collapsed on the ground in a heap. They were free. As they sat there catching their breath, they looked back at the asylum. The door was gone. In its place was a brick wall. "How did we get out of there?" one of them asked. "I don't know," another replied. "But I never want to find out." They all agreed and started walking away. As they reached the road, one of them turned around to take a last look at the asylum. That's when he noticed a figure standing on the roof. He waved at them. The others turned around and gasped. "Guys, you need to see this," he shouted. The figure raised its arms and let out a blood-curdling scream. They watched in horror as the figure jumped off the roof. Before they could react, the ground began to shake. A loud crash echoed through the air. They turned to see the asylum collapse in on itself. "Run," someone shouted. They didn't need to be told twice. They turned and ran as fast as they could, looking over their shoulder. They could see the dust cloud rising into the air. As they finally reached the safety of the town, they looked back at the destroyed asylum. They had made it out alive, but they would never forget what they had seen. The last call from the depths of the crypt. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so you never miss out on any of my new releases. Until next time, happy haunting.